of the real property located at 333 Southwest Park Avenue, Portland, Oregon. And we have one person signed up.
Right. I have a motion.
So moved.
Commissioner Jayapal moves. Commissioner Vega-Peterson seconds. Approval of R6. Commissioner Myron, did you want to start off with some comments?
Thank you, Chair. So before we hear from the experts, I just wanted to briefly preface the presentation by saying that I am so pleased that we are considering this potential opportunity this morning. One of my top priorities is improving our local system of behavioral health care. I consistently hear from advocates, from service providers, people with lived experience, law enforcement, the business community, and many others, including my own experience working with people in the emergency department, about a long-standing critical gap in our system for centrally located, low-barrier mental health recovery services, peer respite services, a resource center. All of these needs in our community are clear and they are urgent. We have the opportunity to continue to thoughtfully examine and vet this property we're going to be discussing today, which I think has the real potential to respond in a meaningful way to some of those pressing needs in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Bob Leake. I'm the interim director of the Department of County Assets.
And I'm Neil Rotman. I work for the Multnomah County Health Department and currently serving as the interim deputy director for mental health and addiction services.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I am here to present a request to adopt a resolution to approve the purchase of the real property located at 333rd Southwest Park Avenue in Portland on some terms that are substantially consistent with those set forth in Exhibit 1 of the resolution. I'm going to provide some context and some history of the work that we've done that leads us to be here this morning. Neil is going to round that out with addressing the needs in the community, and then I'm going to summarize the terms of the resolution, and then we'll be available for questions at that point. In September of 2018, the county was approached with an opportunity on this property. And the county turned to the Department of County Assets to engage in a process by which we obtain property of this nature. We have spent the last few months doing our work in with the current owners of the property to talk about the condition of the property, the ideas that we have for that location, and have been making our way through these steps that have led us here today. We understand that the Multnomah County Health Department and the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services has been looking for an appropriate opportunity to establish a resource center for many years. And this property presents an excellent opportunity for the establishment of that center because of the following 4 key factors. One, it's a downtown location. Second, it's a 4-story building with almost 30,000 square feet of space. Third, it's a relatively unfinished building shell, which affords us the great opportunity to work on designing a program based on the specifications of the services that might be intended to be offered within the facility. And fourth, the property is available to us at the current time. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Neil and let him talk through the needs identified in the community.
Thank you so much, Bob. I'm really grateful to be here to discuss this opportunity. For several years, I have been discussing, advocating, and searching for a means to provide needed resources for homeless individuals with behavioral health concerns. I have been privileged to work with agencies like the Portland Housing Bureau, Home Forward, and the Joint Office of Homeless Services in identifying and developing affordable housing for those with a range of disabilities. However, those projects for permanent supported housing take years to come to fruition and do not address the immediate needs of those trying to maintain recovery in a houseless situation. Past studies like the 2012 US DOJ settlement agreement with the City of Portland, the 2015 Multnomah County Mental Health Jail Diversion Feasibility Study, and most recently the HSRI, I'll get it right, Multnomah County Mental Health Systems Analysis report commissioned by Commissioner Marin, all speak to the gaps in supportive services for homeless individuals with behavioral health concerns. The request before you will allow the county to truly address this issue and continue our work with stakeholders to identify and develop programming that is needed. In past stakeholder meetings, it has become very clear there's a need for a peer-led resource center that allows homeless individuals with mental health and substance use disorders to receive basic supports to assist them in recovery while experiencing homelessness. A resource center that offers amenities that includes access to computers, telephones, showers, mail drop-off, basic food supplies, and most importantly, support and assistance from those with lived experiences with homelessness, mental health issues, substance use issues, and even criminal justice involvement. A place to begin or continue on their journey through recovery and to a permanent housing resolution. I hope to come back to the board in the coming months to discuss more specific programming options. And I'll turn it back to Bob.
Thank you, Neil. So from the time in October when we began the work to investigate the property and go through that, we also engaged with CBRE to look at potential other sites in the downtown area. We've landed here on this property as the place to put forward for the types of services that Neil has described. So I'd like to take just a second to talk through the key provisions of the purchase and sale agreement. One, the key terms include a purchase price of $4,340,000. We've negotiated a due diligence period of 30 days that would begin upon the execution of and the adoption of the resolution, followed by a closing period of 30 days. The initial earnest money that we would put in place through escrow is $100,000. That's refundable if we don't move to closing. Upon a move from the due diligence period to closing, an additional $200,000 would be deposited, and that $300,000 total would become non-refundable at that point. We anticipate, therefore, about 60 days from now to reach to the end of these next two periods. So there are two additional key steps in the process by which a property is obtained. So with that, I'll step back and answer any questions.
Great. Do we have questions? We do have some public comment, but I thought if folks have questions, now's the good time. Commissioner Stegman?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the information. Could you just talk about, I know that oftentimes the prerequisites that we have for our facilities can be challenging. So could you maybe just talk about what other options or what our needs are compared to what the market has, and maybe like how this location, compares to what other options might be out there?
Yeah, in the downtown core, there aren't a lot of undeveloped plots of land. And so with the focus on downtown for this particular opportunity, taking a look around at the potential for building from scratch, that's a really tough proposition in downtown. And so you begin by looking at available properties. That's where our engagement with CBRE is so important, so that as we describe to them, here are the types of services or programs that we're trying to provide in the downtown area. They do the heavy work to evaluate and provide properties that might be available or soon becoming available because of the role that they play in the commercial real estate market. And so they brought to us a couple of other properties that were potentially available as well, and we toured those. And where we've landed is because of the description that I provided, with an unfinished shell, a size of a building that may allow the program to provide a number of different types of services. That's where we landed, and the fact that this property is available, that's where we landed with making this recommendation.
Well, I'm really excited and thank Commissioner Myron and all of her data and research. I mean, we all know that it's been a long time coming for us to address the mental health issues that our community faces, and I'm really excited that we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vega-Peterson?
Thank you. So, Neil, I've heard that this is something that you've been wanting and dreaming about for years and years and years. Oh. So I'm glad that we are getting a really huge concrete step closer to actually making that reality. One of the things I was curious about is, can you talk or expand a little bit on how this will mesh with the other kind of services and supports that are already existing in our community?
Sure. So at this time, we have programs like a crisis assessment treatment center, which is more of a medical model subacute program. We have our urgent walk-in clinic, which is open 7 days a week. And we have mobile outreach services that reach people. What we don't have is we don't have a resource center that is really a no barrier, and that's one of the reasons I'm looking at a peer-led facility, because we really want people with lived experiences welcoming and assisting people in getting the resources they need. It may be as simple as, again, access to a computer, needing a shower for a job interview, or for even an interview for an apartment complex. But it's getting those basic needs met for individuals that really were missing that gap. Some of our public shelters do provide that, but not in a day treatment type center, day drop-in type center. So really specific for the needs of the individuals.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we just heard with the human trafficking resolution how important that peer counseling and having that support is for folks.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
the mentoring is so important for people.
Yeah, well, great. And I just think that, thank you, Commissioner Myron, for your work on this issue, and as well, as all the folks at the county who have been working on this for such a long time.
Questions or comments?
No questions. I had a chance to be briefed on this last week. It's clear that this is a need that we've identified within the county for a long time, and it's been confirmed by the analysis that Commissioner Myron led. I'm really excited that this is the first step, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the programming.
Good morning. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here because
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Okay, I'm Janie Gullickson, for the record.
Can't even answer.
And I am Executive Director of Mental Health and Addiction Association of Oregon. We're a peer-run organization and representing the folks that we've heard about serving today. We offer direct peer services, technical assistance, and training, everything basically related to peer services. So you can imagine my excitement at hearing the potential programs that this property might be able to offer to the folks we serve, and that we ourselves are and have been. I also would like to say that we support the location because there's not very much in the community, and I think we shared this ourselves when being interviewed for the project that Commissioner Myron spearheaded. But as peer support specialists and recovery mentors in a variety of programs, we're able to walk beside, as you've heard earlier today, how peer services, are people with that lived experience walking beside those to access resources, support them in their recovery, whatever that looks like. And what has been glaringly missing is something to support them too out in the community. And that's not very siloed or program specific, that is low barrier and is a central hub where a variety of things can occur and resources can be accessed, as well as that support and just a place to be. We know downtown is there's a very, very public face to homelessness, addiction, the mental health crisis, and experiences that folks that have nowhere to go are facing. So I would hope that the downtown business community is in support of this as well, because our folks are out there anyway, and this gives a great place to be and to provide for folks. So I just look forward to what is next on this, and any way I can be of more support, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming this morning.
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments. First of all, I want to thank the chair because you are the one who really made this happen. You listen to people, you hear from the community, you read the HSRI report, and you get it. And you really take action to respond. And I just wanted to give my appreciation and thank you. Thank you. I also want to thank Bob and Neil and all of the staff who have contributed to getting us to this step in the process. I appreciate the truly thoughtful analysis that has been conducted so far to help us make a sound decision today. It has been ongoing, and I trust this commitment to thorough assessment and evaluation will continue to guide our vetting of this property as we consider moving forward, which I hope we will more than consider. And as I said earlier, the need for improved mental health resources in our community could not be clearer. And as Neil articulated so very well, many of the most pressing gaps in our system are not new ones. They have been evidenced in studies and settlement agreements and even the most recent analysis with HSRI coming in, including the recent work that has been done. My strong support of this action is based on all of that. The need is clear, it is urgent, and this property may represent a unique opportunity to respond to that need. We can only determine that through further careful consideration of the property, and I think it's vital that we do so. One thing I just want to add to all of this conversation is that I think it's very important to myself and to all of us as we have the conversation that if we do proceed with purchasing and developing into a mental health resource, the crucial piece of the puzzle is ongoing engagement with peers and with people who have lived experience to guide the process, to go alongside with us, because we can't just come in and say, oh, this is what we think people need. We need to hear from them. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. I think all of us can agree that there is nowhere in our community where the intersection of behavioral health and homelessness is more concentrated than in downtown Portland. We know it in this room, local commuters know it, and out-of-town visitors know it. And thankfully, so too does our Mental Health and Addiction Services Division. And as you heard, for years, Neil has been researching, advocating for, looking for a place where people with behavioral health challenges can go and rest and access the services that they need. Our project team from the Department of County Assets, the Joint Office of Homeless Services, Commissioner Myron's office, and Mental Health and Addictions believes that this building has the potential to be such a space. The next stage of this process will be to examine this building inside and out, which we have been working diligently on. We have 60 days to inspect and negotiate terms to buy this building. And concurrently, county staff are working with mental health experts, people with lived experience, law enforcement, local businesses, and our partners across the river to make a plan for this building. And then we will bring that plan back to this board. If we decide against moving forward, and we decide that this building is not for us, we will continue to search for an appropriate property in downtown Portland. But we're hopeful that this will be the perfect location, the perfect building for our project. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Myron, Bob Leake, Mark Jolin, and especially Neil Rotman and your teams for all the work that you've done so far getting us to this point today. And although we have a lot of work before us, I am really excited about the potential for this. So I want to say thank you again to everyone. All those in favor, vote aye. Aye. The resolution's adopted. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, we have no just spontaneous eruptions allowed in our board meetings. All right, now we have come to the time on our board calendar. The board has anything, non-agenda items for, go ahead.
Thank you,
I
Chair.
just look down here because I know.
I always have something to say. Thank you, Chair. I wanted to acknowledge Korean American Day that was actually last Sunday on January 13th and recognize the contributions of my fellow Korean Americans. According to the 2010 census, 7% or 4,090 Koreans live in Multnomah County. And speaking of the census, my office will be coordinating efforts for the upcoming 2020 census. So if you'd like to help, and I'll be reaching out to all my fellow commissioners and many other jurisdictions and partners to make sure that we get a complete count, that especially our communities that often are not engaged, that we do engage them. So please contact my office if you'd like to help with that. And then finally, I would like to thank the 102 pioneering Korean immigrants who first arrived here on January 13th, 1903, and for all Korean Americans for your contributions to Multnomah County, our state, and our country.
So my announcement has to do with a event that I'm co-hosting on January 26th, which is a Saturday at Portland State University. It's called the Portland 2.0 Project, which is a discussion. It's really a day-long event with 4 different panels looking at the history of Portland, how we were able to achieve some of the really significant things that Portland is known for, at the same time who was left out of that progress, what were the unintended consequences of that, who needs to be engaged, and where we want to go in the future. How do we want to get there? I'm really excited about this workshop. We've got a really amazing set of folks who are going to be on the panel. To get more information about it, to register, because there are tickets available for this, as well as free tickets for people from community organizations who might have difficulty paying. You can go to portland2.org is the website where you can get more information and register. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything at this end of the table? Commissioner Myron?
Thank you, Chair. As the board's liaison to the Regional Disaster Preparedness Organization, also known as the RDPO, I just, hopefully you're aware or will become aware, I've circulated a letter from the RDPO's policy committee on which I sit, and it is addressed to the governor and expresses support for the governor's resiliency strategy and corresponding budget proposal for implementation. We went through this extensively at our meeting and absolutely support every aspect of that. So implementing the strategies outlined in the letter is critical as we build our region's capacity to withstand and recover from disasters, which will happen. And I'm glad Multnomah County will be signing on to this letter, so thank you. And the one other thing is the MLK Day Shabbat service at Congregation Beth Israel is occurring this Friday at 6 p.m. It's always an amazing and truly inspiring event where we have the Northwest Community Gospel Choir singing. We have Reverend Matt Hennessy there, and there's always a just superlative speaker on civil rights, and this year it's going to be Brian Stevenson. He's the executive director of the Equal Justice Initiative. He wrote a book called Just Mercy. He is like renowned worldwide, and he's going to knock it out of the park. So hopefully you all can be there. And others who are listening here.
Thank you. That's the end of our agenda today. We will see you Tuesday, January 22nd here for our board briefing. Thank you so much. We're adjourned.